Welcome to the Creative Differences Podcast. I'm Gabby.
I'm Colin.
I'm Dallas.
And hey guys, it's Demi, because these guys keep pulling new reasons for me to show up on this show.
Because you're part of this show.
Stop trying to not be part of the show, Demi.
I'm trying to be a producer, guys. Gosh.
You can do that. You be a producer
¿Por qué no
and the
los
star.
dos? Yeah.
You're also the editor. Like, at some point, you're just wearing all the hats.
Yeah, you're like, who does that? You're like Favreau. Jon
Okay,
Favreau.
cool. I was afraid of where that was going. I was almost afraid you would say Tarantino and just...
No. I was trying to find a positive one.
Do you like feet?
No, I don't actually.
Okay.
You like Margot Robbie?
She does.
But I don't like her feet. I mean, I don't think I do.
She's not. She doesn't like her
I think
feet.
you've
You know,
seen
like
enough
that.
of them. You've seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood a good amount of times.
You're right. I've
I
seen
think
it
you would know
far
by
too
now
many times.
if you liked her feet.
All right, let's move on to what we're actually discussing today.
Today-
J-Lo's feet.
Oh.
Sorry.
We're not talking about J-Lo's feet.
Although she had great feet in this movie. We are talking about
Here we go.
Hustlers today.
I didn't notice that at all.
Well, I noticed all of her because she was all up on the
That's fair.
screen.
Quite a bit of it was on screen.
Yep. And it was amazing.
This is going to be a very gendered review because the boys didn't go see Hustlers.
No, but the girls did. High five.
Woot.
Woo! And it was amazing.
It was. It was absolutely fantastic. I was not anticipating this movie to be as good as it was because the marketing did not pitch this movie to be as great as it was.
Yeah, I feel like we're okay. So I've been saying this the entire time, but it's like Magic Mike. You know, the first Magic Mike movie was like a film. You know, there was cinematography.
It was cinema.
Like there was cinematography. There was a story about a sad Channing Tatum, and then like everybody that went to see it was like, "What the hell? This isn't what I wanted." And then Magic Mike XXL was like, men taking their shirts off, having six packs, just being all up on you like strippers.
I don't think this movie is going to have a sequel like that.
No, I don't think so.
Because this is based on a true story.
Yeah, but I mean, so was Magic Mike.
I feel like Magic Mike was inspired, but not really based.
I mean, it's based on Channing Tatum's life.
It's not really based on his life. Let's be honest here.
I don't know, man.
I don't know the
But
man's
that's
life.
not the
Didn't
point.
know
The
she was
point
the
is
authority on Channing
that
Tatum.
Hustlers was actually a really great movie, and I
Also-
hope J-Lo runs for an Oscar.
You can make a story based on real life and still have stripping in it.
Yeah, no, that's
People
not.
strip in real
That's
life.
not. No, Channing Tatum was a stripper. That's
No,
where,
I'm talking about Hustlers. Like if they want to make Hustlers 2, you know, the new
Yeah,
generation.
but it
or
wouldn't
whatever.
be based off of these strippers though, and those are the people I'd actually want to follow because these characters are great.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, there are probably other great strippers in the world.
I mean, I'm sure
I think
there
they
are
should
plenty of
leave
them out
the
there.
movie alone and not
Yeah,
make a
don't touch
sequel.
this movie again. Leave it alone.
Hustlers
It's
XXL.
already perfect.
Yeah, leave it alone.
The way it is.
Yeah, this movie is fantastic.
No,
like
no,
he
no,
said.
no. Hustlers Double D.
No!
Yeah.
You can't do XXL because Magic Mike already did it.
No!
We have now put that out into the universe.
It's in the universe. Do it.
Hustlers
No,
Dallas
this-
Darden. There we go.
Okay.
Anyways, like as Gabby was saying though about Jennifer Lopez with the Oscar contention, yeah, I think with the proper campaign she could get a Best Supporting Actress nom.
Yeah,
maybe
nom.
win it because I'm not hearing much about supporting actresses yet.
I think if anybody could run a good campaign, I think it would be J-Lo. Also, she could pull the, hey, guys, y'all haven't had a Latina win this award since 1991.
Y'all
so what
also
the
didn't
hell?
give me a nomination for Selena, so it's about damn time.
Which Selena? Oh, the
The
movie
movie.
Selena.
What?
Yep, she got a Golden Globe
But
for
she
that,
didn't get an
right?
Oscar nom.
Yeah, no, I know. That was some bullshit.
So, yeah, as you can tell, Jennifer Lopez does a fantastic job. And never in my life would I have ever imagined me being like, yeah, Jennifer Lopez should get an Oscar nomination. Like, Jennifer,
Really?
Jennifer Lopez is a good actress, but, like, she's not, like, Oscar,
I think she
Good
just needed
actress.
the right role, which
which
this
she
proves.
wasn't taking. And Hustlers didn't look like it was
No, I
going to
know
be one
because
of those.
I think Jennifer Lopez is much more about mass appeal than she is about awards.
Well, this movie has mass appeal and it has award appeal.
It does.
She is amazing in this movie. She gives off she kind of has this really nuanced mob boss type of feel about her
Yeah.
without being like in the mob.
We should actually talk about the what the movie's about.
So basically the movie is about the financial crash that happened in 2008 and how a group of strippers handled this financial crash by basically drugging men and then taking them to the strip club and making them spend as much money as possible and taking a cut of that money.
Yeah.
And they were making thousands.
Thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars.
Are we? Okay.
They were like Robin Hood,
Probably
but
have
for
a similar
themselves.
question.
Okay.
Wrong.
Are we supposed to support this?
Oh, you definitely
They're
do.
drugging people.
This is the thing. It's
That's
like,
where you
these
lose me.
People are villains by that description.
And the movie does not treat them as if they are amazing people. This movie is good at making it like, hey, these people are likable people, but what they're doing is also wrong, especially when you get to the climax of the movie.
Yep, it's basically have you know Goodfellas, where homie's like, let me tell you about the mob. It's basically Goodfellas but with strippers.
Right.
I haven't seen Goodfellas.
See, a lot of people say that gangster movies glorify crime. So this movie isn't glorifying the
Oh, no.
drugging and robbing of people.
It definitely is.
Okay, so you have to say
But
opposite
it's
things.
framing it from the perspective of these are strippers that are
See, but even then, I wouldn't say that
people.
it glorifies them. It does a
that
good job.
make it any
Actually,
better?
it balances it because when
There
we,
is a character actually that balances it, like the horror on that character's face. You're
There's
like,
a lot
this
of-
is really bad.
No, there are a number of characters who really point out the fact that this is a bad thing. They shouldn't be doing this. And even when they start doing it, they are constantly questioning. Annabelle is consistently questioning whether or not they should be doing this, which is why she's consistently vomiting throughout the
Oh,
movie.
you're right. Yeah, she really
Like-
doesn't like doing bad things.
Yeah, like this movie does not glorify the fact that these women were stealing from people. They like
I mean,
No, they don't. It is a very layered and nuanced. At the end of the day, you're not like, yeah, they were right to steal from these people.
No.
You're like, no, you
when
weren't
are they
right
going to
to
get caught is more like what you were like.
Yeah, you're not like, yeah, I want these people to steal. You're just, I want these people to survive. This
That's
movie is
true.
about power and it's about survival. And at the end of the day, you're
Or
just
like the characters.
yeah, and you're like, I want you guys to survive. And right now, this is the only way that you guys are surviving.
That's true. Look, all I'm saying is this is a good movie, and this is a wild ass story. And I don't think like normal people are gonna go out and be like, you know what? Let's go drug some Wall Street folks, especially since like all of them got caught. And
Yeah,
like
it's like the argument of like, I don't think if you go watch gangster movies, you're gonna go start shooting up
Yeah.
Italian restaurants.
exactly, or like
Yeah, no,
form
but
a mob,
I would say actually,
muscle into a neighborhood and pay them to have them pay you to quote unquote protect them.
But I would
Gonna
also,
describe all of it.
I would also say you should see the movie
Yeah.
and then figure it out for
it's a
yourself whether or not
great
you think it's
movie.
glorifying it.
Yeah.
I think the cast and the characters are all really well done. Well, so Ramona, who is
Lopez's character.
Jennifer Lopez's character, and Destiny, Constance Wu's character, are the anchors of the movie.
Yeah.
And they are both really, really good. Their characters are really well fleshed out and both have really great motivations.
Yes,
But also, man, Ramona, like,
Ramona stole the. I mean, Jennifer Lopez definitely stole the show.
she steals the show. Like, her character is just so, like, she's motherly and warm, and you want to, like...
and like you want her to save you.
Yes, you want
You're
her to
like,
save
please,
you."
Ramona, teach me. Please, Ramona, save my life.
But also
please,
you
Ramona,
start
give me
seeing-
options.
You start seeing how flawed she is.
And like the
ooh.
cracks on the surface. Yeah, it's very good. It's very well
You can
done.
see all the cracks in these characters, and I really love it.
And there was one scene at the like in near the middle of the movie where I leaned over and I was like, oh, that's Jennifer Lopez's Oscar like bit. And then no, there was like a scene at the end. I
No,
was
it's
like,
the
oh,
end.
that's the one.
The
That's
end
it.
is that's the
That'll
Oscar
do
one.
it.
I think this movie does a great job with how it portrays its characters because they're likable, but they're not good and they're not bad either.
Yeah.
They're people.
Yeah.
They live in the gray area.
Yeah. There's definitely a gray area in this one.
So all the performances are great in this movie, but Jennifer
Yeah.
Lopez really like
She's the
puts her
one
all
that
into
really,
it.
really stole the show.
There was another thing that I really loved about this movie. There were just two really great moments of like sound design, not to be super filmmaky right now.
Okay. Do it. Tell us.
But like, oh my gosh. Also, so like the use of their soundtrack, first off, the soundtrack is banging.
Oh,
second
yes,
of all,
so
it
we
is
talked
used
about
so well.
It is. The soundtrack is basically used as a way to show that time has progressed. So they use like popular songs from like 2000 because the movie starts off in 2007 and it ends up in like 2014, I
Yeah, it
believe.
does.
So a 7-year span. And they start with like very 2007 like songs. Like
Nice.
It's Britney Bitch. They're using the soundtrack to to show.
we go from "Give Me More" by Britney,
Yeah.
and all the way up to "Royals" by Lorde.
Yeah.
But sound design wise, there was one scene where a tape recorder gets turned off and all the sound suddenly goes out, the
Yeah.
silence, and it's just like, oh my gosh, you're saying so much with this choice. And then there's, this is kind of a spoiler. There's another scene where instead of using the full sound,
Yeah.
they make it sound like a recording.
Yeah.
And I can't really go into what that scene is
No,
because
we're
that's
not
a
gonna.
big spoiler.
It'll give it
But
away.
it's so good. Like that's such
Yeah.
a sometimes like the best directing decisions are the ones that are just so simple like simple, but ones that maybe most directors wouldn't decide to make.
Yeah.
And I'm suddenly really interested in watching Lorene Scafaria, who directed the movie. I kind of want to see the rest of her movies. I also really appreciated the fact that this movie wasn't really exploitative of women's bodies.
That's true.
Like, yes, we're in a strip club. There are going to be boobs. There are going to be butts. They're everywhere.
But because it's a movie about women being made by a woman, there's not as much exploitation.
Yeah.
There's one scene, I think, maybe, where somebody like legitimately like has a full strip routine. And it's like...
Jennifer Lopez has a pole dancing routine.
But she's also the most powerful woman in the movie, I think. So
Within
like,
this movie,
and she's the most in control. So I feel like giving her, and it was a way to show like her strength and her power and how much control she had in this area. So it wasn't a strip scene to like just show her body and exploit her. It was a strip scene to like show you her power.
I noticed that the editing, you never hold too long on a shot when she's dancing, or when any of the girls are dancing, really. It never holds too long. So I was like, cool. It feels like this is just a good editing choice. It doesn't feel like I'm just sitting here because I really want you to look at this girl's boobs, or I really want you to look at her butt. Yes, you have to see these things because this is a dance routine, or they're doing a tease or whatever. But like, okay, we're moving on to the next shot now. And it all feels fluid, but it doesn't feel like I'm exploiting these women.
Exactly.
There's also, whenever they're doing lap dances for men and stuff, and they're doing stuff that could be really risque on screen, they really tease it a lot. And I was like, I really like that you're just teasing at this, because, I mean, the art of the strip tease, it's almost as if you're using it with on the screen. Camera and using it on screen. And I thought that was perfect.
But also it's like I said, it's a movie about women stripping that's directed by a woman. So, like, I don't see there being a lot of lingering shots and a lot of exploitation.
Yeah, and another thing that I really loved was the way that they, like, portrayed stripping and pole dancing. They really showed it as an art form, which was another way that they avoided exploiting pole dancing and stripping and, like, this particular type of job in general. I really loved that sometimes they would play classical music over the dancing to make it seem more like ballet, like to equate it to something like that. And I thought that was a really great idea and a really brilliant move, and another way of humanizing this instead of exploiting it.
Needless to say, this movie is super good. I hope Jennifer Lopez gets that Oscar nomination. I kind of want Lorene Scafaria to get a Best Directing nomination, even though I know she's not going to.
Yeah.
She would deserve it. She's really good. Everybody in this movie is really good, but Jennifer Lopez really steals the show.
She definitely does. And like we were talking about, this movie is not being really marketed well. I think
it's being marketed as a really fun stripper movie.
Exactly.
And it is a fun stripper movie, but it's got drama.
In portions. But I think mostly this is a drama. So like if you're going to see a bunch of women do a bunch of different strip routines, particularly like Cardi B or Lizzo, you're going to be disappointed.
You are. But shout out to Jennifer Lopez, Constance Wu, Keke Palmer, Lily Reinhart, and I guess Cardi B and
Cardi
Lizzo.
B and Lizzo.
Because
they were great.
And Lorene Scafaria, because this was awesome.
Yep, it was a good movie.
Fun fact, it was also produced by Adam McKay and Will Ferrell. Who knew?
Which was random. I was like, Will Ferrell, what are you doing here? All right. And Jennifer Lopez produced it too.
Of course she did. All right, moving on to the next thing. You guys wanted to start up a new segment. Why don't you guys tell them about that?
Yes, Gabby had an idea where we will, basically tell you guys what's going on, what we're into, because all we talk about is movies.
It's kind of a mixture. Gabby had the idea of talking about TV, but
like
Colin wanted to talk about all things that we're getting into.
Yes.
Pop culture.
This is a amalgamation of ideas from the group.
Woo.
So yeah, we don't know what the segment is called. It's
called
show and tell, but we
it's
can't.
called Things I'm Into Right Now.
So, things I'm into right now. What's wrong, Colin? Do you not like that?
It's
Write
fine.
it down, Colin.
It's
Write
fine.
it down.
It's absolutely fine.
We can work on that later.
Yeah.
Just write it down.
It's a working title. Gabby, this is your idea. What are you into right now?
The finale for 4 Weddings and a Funeral came out this week, I believe.
Yeah, this past week.
Or like
last week.
Whenever this comes out, time-wise. Or like last week. And I was like, you know what? I think I'll watch this. And I started watching it and I finished it in 2 days, which is rare for me. I don't usually finish TV shows.
It's a fun show, right?
It's delightful. Also, because me and Mindy Kaling have this thing where we both really like romantic comedies, I saw a bunch of references to romantic comedies.
Oh, yeah, because
throughout.
They reference a lot of Richard Curtis movies. who's the guy who wrote the original Four Weddings and a Funeral.
Yeah.
He wrote Love Actually, and he wrote Yesterday.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of references to those in there, and he's a producer on the show.
Yes. So that makes sense. I really like the way the stories come together. And my favorite part about this miniseries is that it is nothing like the original movie. I mean, there are 4 weddings, there is a funeral, and it is about a group of friends in London. But it's not structured at all like the original movie, which I really, really dig.
It also literally starts with somebody waking up and saying the word fuck.
Which is
from the original movie.
Yeah, exactly, which is great. There's references to the movie, but it's not like you're watching a shot-for-shot, just elongated version of that movie.
Yeah,
you're
really
watching
can't.
a completely new story, which I appreciate. I know some people are probably like, wait, why'd you make a remake of this and then have it be nothing like the movie? And I'm like, no, like that's why I like this. It's giving me something completely new and a completely different story.
So it's like inspired by the movie.
It's, yeah, very loosely inspired by the movie.
Got it.
And
I mean, the
also-
same. Yeah, it's like the same situations happen where, like, yeah, you gotta have 4 weddings and you gotta have a funeral, but how those things happen doesn't have to be
yeah,
the same.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. The movie is structured very tightly. It is really structured around the weddings themselves. So yesterday, my housemate and I were watching 4 Weddings and a Funeral, the show. And I looked at her and I was like, did you ever see the movie? And she was like, no. And so we stopped. We watched the movie and we went back to the show. We were talking about it afterward once we'd finished everything. And I was like, the movie is like, quote unquote, a better, like, you know, film. But like the TV show is a much more engaging story for me because I really like hanging out with characters and getting to know characters, and the movie doesn't give you time for that because of the way it's structured. So I think in terms of romantic comedies, it's not one of my favorites. It has one of my favorite like love type speeches in it where I just wanted to curl up and just hold the character that was making the speech. But like when I watch the rest of the movie, I'm like, why am I watching this? And then I get to that part and I'm like, that's why I watched this. That's why I sat through this.
Right.
So I like the TV show because the TV show like gives me, you know, the weddings
The funeral.
and the funeral.
Listen,
was
that
so
funeral was
sad.
one of the best funerals I've seen on TV.
It's so freaking sad though. I was like ugly crying. I had mascara on. It was not cool.
Second best funeral of TV of this year.
What was the first?
I don't have a
Dark
list.
Crystal.
Gotta see it. Anyway, so I've already taken too much time.
Another show starring Natalie
But-
Emmanuel.
Yeah. Yes. I've already taken too much time, but 4 Weddings and a Funeral is delightful. It's got a lot of like romantic comedy references in it because Mindy Kaling is a romantic comedy like scholar like I am. And it's delightful.
I was going to
Yeah.
ask.
Actually,
what do you
one
got?
last
No, no,
thing
no,
I
never
wanted to
mind.
say. I also really appreciate this movie because it had the first casual like mosque scene I've ever seen on screen.
Interesting.
Like one of the characters is Muslim and his dad's like, we got to go to the mosque. And he's like, fine. And so they go and like with the same enthusiasm that, you know, you would go to church because hello, it's basically church. And like, I really appreciated that. They talked about the imam, like going to your imam. They talked about like the way that people do arranged marriage. But I just really appreciated that like it's a movie that showed like an actual mosque scene and it wasn't a big deal. And 2, like I just appreciate the inclusion because I had realized I'd never seen a scene like that.
Right.
That wasn't in like a serious film, you know. I'd seen like, you know, in The Big Sick, a scene where somebody prayed, but I hadn't seen an actual scene in a mosque. So I really, really appreciated that.
Yeah, it's a really inclusive show.
Yeah.
It's a nice way to include things and just like it's not making a big deal. Like, oh, they're Muslim. It's like, no, they're people.
They're people,
Everybody's
and
people.
part of being a person is religion.
Yeah,
So
a lot of people are Muslim. Colin, you had a question.
Well, yeah, but I know the answer. I was going to ask, like, could you get a degree in rom-coms? And the answer is absolutely yes, you could. You could probably just make that major yourself.
at like the New York Tisch School of Arts or something.
Yeah.
Colin, since you're
So,
speaking.
Gabby, get on that.
Maybe.
Colin, since you're speaking, what do you have for us, man?
I feel like you've already done most of the coursework. Anyway,
Probably have.
so last night I finished season 1 of Killing Eve, which unfortunately means I'm a year behind because I still have to watch season 2. But whew, that show is so much fun. Typically these days, when I watch literally anything, I'm like also on my phone during it because I have to have something to. I don't know. It's
with
hard
your
for me to
hands.
focus on one thing at a time.
Me too.
Killing Eve is like one of the only shows where it's like, nah, when I'm watching this, that is all I am doing.
Wow.
It is just so much fun. And like, I don't know how to say her name. Jodie Comer, maybe? The actress who plays one of the main characters and isn't Sandra Oh, which, you know,
Let me
narrows it
look
down.
up.
I know. I don't know how to pronounce it, but I know who you're talking about.
That show's really exciting because Phoebe Waller-Bridge created it.
And that's what's interesting is like now I might actually watch a Bond movie for once in my life because she's writing the next one.
I think she's rewriting the next. She rewrote the next one.
Okay.
Nice. Also, you should check out Fleabag then.
Yeah, Fleabag. I don't know what Fleabag is.
Oh,
but
I will tell you in a minute.
Speaking of, I don't know what Killing Eve is, so can you tell me what it's about, please?
Killing Eve is basically about there's an assassin who's, you know, getting paid to kill people,
As you
and
do.
she ends up crossing paths with this team that works mainly in Britain, but also one of them is like she works with Russia primarily.
Is it Interpol or something?
It's some sort of intelligence. They name some of the organizations, but I don't remember the names. But they end up crossing paths, and like the assassin kind of gets like obsessed with one of the members of the team, who is played by Sandra Oh.
I got you.
And so it kind of becomes this thing where like they want to find each other and figure out like what each other's deal is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a lot. It's not much of season one because much of season one is like the actual team is trying to track her down before she kills more people. But like also there's that undercurrent of why are you so obsessed with me? Why are we so obsessed with each other?
Why are you
And,
so
like,
obsessed with me?
Jodie Comer does super good things with her face.
Ooh.
Which is like, it makes sense because like she's an assassin and she goes for like the I don't have emotions sometimes, but then sometimes I do have emotions,
But
or I
then-
want you to think that I have emotions.
Interesting.
So like her eyes will quote unquote give it away. I love
Yeah.
that stuff. Mostly because I'm bad with words, so sometimes I just have to communicate with my face.
And as
You
somebody
have
who
very-
doesn't really know how to communicate with my face, it's really cool when I see other people able to do it.
Which is interesting because you have a very expressive face. So it's like, I think it just comes naturally to you in a way that you don't think about it, but it just happens.
Huh.
Let's say 9 out of 10 times when I say something, your face tells me everything. I need to know about how you feel about it. And it's usually disgusting.
Well,
It's
That's our
usually
relationship.
disgust.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
Well,
Like-
you guys could see us right now.
Killing Eve is really fun too because like obviously there's a mystery to it. And in general, I am terrible at figuring out mysteries. I don't like mysteries because I can never figure them out. And so I always feel stupid. Like Killing Eve will have moments where it's like I was watching an episode a couple days ago and it was ending on like, oh man, there's a meeting between two characters. You know who one of them is, who's the other one going to be? And I was like, it's got to be that person. It has to be that person. And then it was, and I was like, yeah, this is great because even though I figured it out,
Yeah.
I don't care because I wanted it to be that person anyway. And it is,
Interesting.
and this is going to be great. I want to see where this goes. So I like a mystery that even if I know where something's going, it's still just as engaging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that too.
I feel like it's very, at this point, because of how much story we've all consumed, like between how much we read, between how much we watch on TV and all that stuff, it's really hard to surprise us. Just because of how much we've consumed. So you kind of start seeing tropes and patterns. So at this point, if you can just, like, I know where it's going to go, but I just want to enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
Even that is really good. Because, like, I don't, like, 4 Weddings and a Funeral, I knew where everything was going, but I had a great time watching it.
Right. Which is always like I can enjoy that regardless of how predictable or whatever it is. I just don't like watching with people who like want you to know that they know where it's
Oh,
going and they
yeah.
start shouting
Cold
it
it.
out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he did it. And it's like, all right, bro, we're 20 minutes into the movie. Can you relax? And then when it ends, they're like, I know, I told you. It's like, I know, I heard you tell me while I was trying to watch the movie.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Shout out to Assassins and Centro.
Dallas.
I also finished the show last night.
You did. Did
I
we
did.
all
I was
finish
assuming
shows
you would.
yesterday?
Nope.
Nope.
Wow, Demi, get on our level.
Yeah,
I
Demi,
literally
get it
watched
together.
4 shows in the span of 2 weeks. You guys get on my level and then we'll talk.
I was gonna say,
Damn,
Demi's been finishing shows
I don't
consistently for
have
like
as
the last
much
couple
free
weeks.
time.
Demi's good at
as
finishing.
that.
All right.
God.
I just watched a show called Undone on Amazon Prime.
Ooh.
Yes, it is some backstory. So it's listed as a rotoscope animated comedy drama web series.
What is that?
Oh, yeah. So it is like
Even
Waking Life.
It is all of those things.
Yes. So the people, it's animated. The characters look, they
Have you
are-
ever seen
But it looks like Scanner Darkly.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But like slightly, like it's smoother. It kind of looks like,
That's because we've updated our technology since
yeah.
then.
This is kind of like if watercolors were walking around. But
wild.
it's really cool. It's created by a dude, 2 people, Raphael Bob Waksberg, who created BoJack Horseman.
Bob is one of his last
Oh,
names?
so.
Bob is sure. It's hyphenated.
Oh, so it's gonna ruin
Interesting.
my
I'm
life.
pretty sure it's Robert.
BoJack
Maybe it's
Horseman
not, I don't know.
makes me really, really sad.
Yeah. So this one's interesting because it kind of has that similar. I haven't seen BoJack Horseman, but I've heard it's really funny. It's really sad. It's really funny. It's really sad.
It's mostly sad to me.
Yeah, this one does a lot of that going back and forth as well, except it's more grounded. There are times when I almost forget it's animated because one of the things. Oh, sorry. Kate Purdy also created the show. I don't want to like erase anybody. The way they animate the people, it feels like to me, you were telling me about one that Linklater did where he just filmed it and then animated after it.
Yeah, Waking Life.
Yeah. So it kind of feels like that because like the way that you get these people so done well, like down to the facial expressions that they make. I was
Maybe
like,
it was
yo,
motion capture or something.
I don't know. It's like,
And it has Rosa Salazar.
I mean, it's
Yes.
it's rotoscoped, so that means that they're painting or drawing onto something.
okay, that's what that means.
Oh, okay.
Dope. Yeah, so that makes a lot of sense.
Thank you, film degree.
Yeah, thank you. I was just gonna ignore. I was like, that's a word I've heard. I don't know what it means. But yeah, the cast is dope. It has Rosa Salazar. You guys know her as Alita, maybe.
Or you
love
know her from the Maze Runner series.
Or you
Yes.
know her from
Bird Box.
Bird Box. Yeah,
Yes.
she fucking
Oh, that's
stole the
right.
car.
She
stole the car.
Kelly's
Machine Gun
girlfriend.
Machine Gun Kelly. That was some
Yeah.
bullshit. But
So it also has David Diggs in a pretty small role, but he's great. He's probably the main reason I wanted to see the show. Also, it's also just like really compelling from the trailer. Also, Bob Odenkirk is in it, playing Rosa Salazar's father because she is mestiza, as you would call her, mixed race.
yeah,
Yes.
she's mixed race.
The character, not the. I don't know about the
Oh,
actress.
okay. No, the actress just looks white. She just passes for white.
All right. So also Constance Marie from George Lopez show. She
Hey,
plays
I
the-
love her.
Yeah, she plays the character who's like the Latina mom who's like, when are you gonna come to church with me?
Oh God.
And you
So
look
my mother.
You look so pretty if you tried a little harder.
Or like lost weight.
So the
like my
grandmother
mother.
in One Day at a Time.
Or my mother.
I feel like this is a character that a lot of people can be like, oh, I know that mom.
And it is mine.
Also, that's part I was watching. I was like, Gabby needs to see this show. It's so interesting because there are times when it just feels like a family drama where it's like, oh, she's dealing with her mom. She gets in a car accident and her sister's getting married and it's a whole thing. And she's like the problem child. But also on the other side of the coin, she's seeing visions of her dead dad who is trying to teach her how to travel through time and space to prevent his murder.
What the hell?
Yeah. So it's like the show gets real crazy real fast.
Damn.
But it also deals with mental illness in a really authentic and not exploitative way because she has a family history of mental illness. And I don't want to give too much away, but there are certain points when you're like, okay, I don't know if all this is in her head, like if she's just like, these are symptoms or if she's really doing all this. And you get to see the concern from her family, her boyfriend, everybody who's like, she's describing the things that are happening and they sound crazy. Like, oh yeah, my dad is teaching me how to
travel through time.
navigate through time and space so I can prevent his murder, even though her dad officially died in a car accident. So they're like, ooh, Alma, no.
Oh, and her name is Alma.
Mhm.
I love that name.
But yeah, it's such a good show. And I knocked through the first season in like a couple of days. It's only 8 episodes and they're only like 20 minutes. You probably do it in like in the evening. But
Yeah.
man. Yeah.
How many
And I recommend all of you do 8 episodes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's so good.
Just gonna get a bottle of wine and ugly cry while I watch this show.
Do it. I kind of want to watch it again. I'm probably going to watch it again before the year is up. I don't know. But shout out to Rosa Salazar because like the way she acts, like her voice, she brings the character to life in such a way that I'm like, yo, I'm really feeling for this character. And it really helps with the animation, making everyone look like their characters. Everyone involved with that show, good job. It's really dope. Gabby, watch it.
I will. It's kind of got me written all over it. Yeah. To be honest.
I was like, ooh, this is Gabby's show.
Or-
Yeah, that's my thing. Undone. Shout out to y'all.
I don't even know where to go with this.
You have had
narrow
time
it
to
down
think
to
about
like
it.
2.
No, as I said, I watched 4 shows in the span of 2 weeks, so I can just name off all the ones I watched. I watched The Boys in a day. I watched Umbrella Academy in a day, both of which are really, really good.
And very dark superhero type
Yeah,
shows.
I watched Doom Patrol, which is also really great. And I watched The Dark Crystal in a weekend. The Dark Crystal Age of Resistance,
Can you tell us about that?
which is literally the best thing I've watched all year.
Nice.
I'm actually starting to rewatch it again so I can watch it with my 10-year-old brother. But The Dark Crystal Age of Resistance is, if you've seen the original Dark Crystal, there are the Geflings and the Skeksis. And the Skeksis currently rule over the world of Thra. They have this thing called the Crystal of Truth. The Crystal of Truth basically is what sustains life on the planet. It is connected to the planet.
Okay.
And basically, they have been stealing the life force from the Crystal of Truth, which has now made it the Dark Crystal. And
so it's like a metaphor for
and they use the dark. Basically, they use the dark crystal to drain the essence from the Geflings.
That's messed up.
Yeah, it gets really dark. It's a really mature show, but it's a show that you can watch with your family, but also be very aware of the children who are in the room, because it does get scary and it does get dark at times. But basically, this show follows these 3 Geflings: Deet, played by Natalie Emmanuel; Brea, played by Anya Taylor-Joy; and Rian, played by Taron Egerton.
Ooh. Oh my God! Shout out to those are like our. We love those 3 actors.
Those 3 Geflings discover that the Skeksis are draining Geflings for their essence and using it to stay immortal. They try to build up a resistance amongst the Geflings so that they can go against their Skeksis overlords. That's basically what the show is about. It's really, really well done. It's really great high fantasy. It is a show done with puppets, and it's done so well that even my 10-year-old brother turned to me and went, I don't know how they did this. There would have to be so many people working on it. It's fantastic.
Like, yes, there were.
Yes. But yeah, it's my favorite show. It's my favorite thing that I've watched all year. But yeah, Killjoys is ending this upcoming week. 5 years of my life. I'm so sad to see it end. But like, man, I'm so excited to see all these characters, where this show culminates, because I love all these characters and where they've grown. And I will talk more about that probably next time.
Yeah.
Hey guys, we got some news.
Woo!
Because
that's our next segment.
That's what podcasts be doing.
No, news. Alrighty, so Umbrella Academy from Netflix just added 3 cast members for season 2, and they are Ritu Arya, who's going to play a character called Leela; Yusuf Gatewood, who we talked about in our Fantastic Four Fantasticast,
yes,
is going to play a character named Raymond; and Maureen Ireland is going to play a character named Sissy.
Cool. Yeah, I don't know anything about any of those actors.
Yep.
Except what Demi
Yusuf
told us
Gatewood.
about Yusuf.
Yep.
She wanted him to be Mr.
Same.
Fantastic. So
How timely is that, guys?
Right, that's crazy.
Wow.
Shout out
it's
to
almost like it was
time.
meant to be.
But I like the show, so
I
I'm
love
still
the
going
show.
to watch season 2
Yeah,
as
I
I
liked
watched
it.
season 1.
Clearly,
Same.
I watched it in a day, so like, I love the show.
I feel like
You went right through
at
it.
some point we should get together and rewatch season 1.
Boom.
I'll
It
be
also-
we need to make a list of all the shows that we need to rewatch.
Umbrella Academy felt like the type of show that I would appreciate more having watched it again.
Interesting.
Because the first time I was just
Let's just get through
confused by
this.
a lot of it, and I didn't know where it was going, and then it went places that I was like, I like where this went, but I didn't really appreciate it while it was getting there.
I'm down
Fair.
to see my girl Allison again. Word up.
Cool boy.
Who was
I
played
mean,
by...
I agree with you
Emmy Raver Lampman?
Got
in
it.
Yes.
some respects, but there are aspects of her story that I don't need to see again. Thank you very much.
This is interesting. I feel like with rewatching some of these shows, we're going to get into some discourse.
Ooh, boy.
Like, Umbrella Academy on its own has some characters that, man, oh boy, there are going to be some conflicting thoughts and feelings. But that's good. That's good for a TV show.
Anyway, I'm just happy that Yusuf Gatewood is on another show, and one that I actually watch.
Yeah,
So.
shout out to him.
He was in Good Omens.
He was, and I haven't finished
Was
yet.
he?
I've seen
Who
one
was he in?
episode.
I think he was one of the
Famine,
Four
I
Horsemen.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
he's
was-
the one
I can see
black
that.
guy on that show.
Yeah.
So that would narrow it down.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was almost like, yeah, let me just watch this whole show just so I can see Yusuf.
He was fantastic.
You might enjoy it.
For like
I
the
enjoyed
2
it.
I've seen the first episode, and I thought it was good.
It was delightful. It's whimsical.
Yeah, it is very
Wait,
wonderful.
is he going to be the only black guy on Umbrella Academy too?
No.
Yes, at this moment,
yes. Damn it.
At this point,
He's
yeah.
not the only black person, but he's
No.
the
Yeah,
only
he's
black
the only
guy.
black guy.
There are
Yeah.
2 black women. Mary J. Blige.
Oh yeah, Mary J. Blige.
And Emmy Raver
Yes.
Lampman.
Shout out to Yusuf, bringing it in for the black dudes.
Also, shout out to Emmy because she's on David and Rafa's new album.
That's true. She's singing really well, by the way. Shout out to her. Maybe I'll talk about that album in one of our What We've Been Into segments.
Oh, it'll come up.
It'll come
Oh, it
up.
should.
Yeah, I don't know the other 2 actresses?
I don't either.
Actors?
Me?
No, they're
either.
actresses.
And it's-
They're
and
women.
honestly, if
Yeah, I
to
knew.
me,
I figured Ritu was. Oh yeah, I guess from the character description, I could tell that Miss Ireland was as well. But yeah, shout out to you guys. I don't know you, but I look forward to seeing your stuff.
Colin, next up on the list.
Colin.
Hailee Steinfeld is apparently in talks to play Kate Bishop in the Hawkeye Disney Plus series that is coming out at some point. I don't think we know when.
We do.
We do?
Yes, it's 20.
I couldn't remember because that's the one they
21?
like haven't talked about much.
I think it's because
Which
it
is
comes out
weird.
in like 2021.
Ah, okay. Did the other? But
It has a date. It has,
Right, but I
it
mean,
has
like,
release date.
I don't know. It feels weird that like when they announced She-Hulk and Moon Knight, they didn't also say, and by the way, we're still doing Hawkeye. What's up? But anyway,
I think it was on their slate. They just added it to the slate.
so that's happening. She's in talks. She doesn't have the role, but from what Demi has said, in talks basically means you have the role, but like
Well,
it's not
a lot
confirmed.
of
the
times.
article said, just kidding.
Okay.
No, just kidding.
Well, there are definitely articles that say she's confirmed, but I think those ones are just jumping the gun.
Yep.
Definitely. Most of the times they jump the gun when they say in talks because typically that's what's going to happen. Unless you have a Harry Styles situation where he's just like, nah, I don't want to do it anymore.
You know what? I'm just glad that worked out the way I wanted it to.
Hailee Steinfeld, though. Me
She's
and
an actress.
Colin have been waiting for the
Get
Young
out of here.
Avengers to
Ooh.
just start forming their way.
Yeah.
And it started with Cassie, and now we might have Kate Bishop.
I mean, we will have a Kate Bishop.
We will have
in
her.
general. It's
Yeah.
just a question of who's playing her. And man,
We're slowly working our way up, man.
we're getting there.
We're getting a WandaVision show, so we might get the boys.
And there was like a rumor that I couldn't find a source for that Hulkling is going to be in Captain Marvel 2, which could make sense.
Which makes sense. He's
She
a
already brought
Skrull.
the Skrulls in, so why not?
That's
But
Listen, we are making our way.
might have to see that movie.
If they give Falcon and Winter Soldier a season 2, we could get Patriot. Could get Elijah.
Yeah, see, and that's where I thought Civil War was going. We're getting off track. But anyway,
Listen, the young
it's just saying
Avengers,
you
man.
already had other super soldiers. Just give it to a black kid, call it a day.
I'm
Anyway,
not
What
going to be
Colin-
happy till America Chavez shows up.
What Colin has not mentioned is that he actually had Hailee Steinfeld pick as his choice for Kate,
Kate Bishop. I did.
Wow.
Yeah, because honestly, she's great. Like,
She is delightful.
I didn't know anything about her until I saw Edge of 17. And man, she was just great in that.
She was a firecracker in True Grit. She like
Didn't see
anchored
that.
that
Oh,
movie.
yeah, that was her. I always
She
forget
got an
that was her.
Oscar nom for
Yeah,
that.
she had an
And you know
Oscar.
what?
That was like
she
her
deserved
first
it.
film.
And then
She deserved it.
She played Gwanda in Spider-Verse.
Yes.
And like,
Yes.
so we know she can play a superhero. Like,
That's when I was like, oh, she's dope.
Everything that I've seen her in, I've never disliked her in anything.
Mm-hmm.
She's in the Pitch Perfect movies. She's really good in Bumblebee, which is the best
Oh,
Transformers
yeah.
movie.
Oh, I still haven't seen that.
yeah,
But I
she
want
was
to.
really
It's on
good in
my
that.
list.
Yeah, she's just a great actress. So, like, I'm not going to be mad if you tell me, yeah, she's playing Kate Bishop.
Yeah.
She's
amazing.
great.
She's a great singer too.
And she's also got an Oscar nomination on her back. So, like,
Yeah, when she was 13.
there's really
very nice.
There's really nothing wrong with this casting at all, except for the people who had headcanoned that Kate is Asian, which has never been confirmed in the comic books.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say all I know about Kate is that she's white and she shoots arrows.
But also
That's
technically Hailee
pretty
Steinfeld
much-
is also part Filipino.
She's like an eighth, but yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know if that counts.
Is it distant
Fair.
like Taylor Lautner?
Fair,
Ooh.
fair, fair, fair.
Distant.
We don't need to get into all that.
She's like an eighth Asian and an eighth African American.
I've read the first few comics of one specific run of Young Avengers, but this was before Kate Bishop was part of the team.
Oh no,
So I don't know anything about her.
I
Wait,
read
hasn't
Matt-
she always been part of the team?
I feel like she
She was
She
not.
has.
Mostly.
Yeah, she was in the first gen and the second one. She's always been part of the team.
She wasn't when they started.
She definitely.
It was Iron
I thought she
Iron Lad,
was.
Patriot, Wiccan,
He must have been reading some
Hulkling.
early stuff.
early.
Maybe I'm just misremembering because
And
I have
Cassie.
all of the Young Avengers comics, with the exception of like if they've appeared in other people's stuff. I don't have that.
Right.
But everything with the Young Avengers title, I have, and I thought she was in it from the beginning.
Recommendation for those of you guys out there: if you want to get into the Young Avengers, like you should read Volume 1 that came out like a few years back, but also you should read Avengers: Children's Crusade because that's a really good one.
It's also just there's not much of them,
That's true.
so it's very easy to get caught up very quickly. You could take a weekend and have read everything that they're in.
So earlier we were talking about David and Rafa.
Yes, we were. Speaking of Rafa,
I was wondering like how you were gonna
Yeah, you got
connect those dots.
they are rebooting or reviving or whatever the word is now. Are You Afraid of the Dark? I'm talking about this because I'm the one who's in the spooky stuff at the table.
Also, this was the show that we used to watch kind of as children.
Kind of. Some of us. I watched one episode and I was like, nope, too much for me. I'm scared.
I also was
We were
like, no,
also
too
like
much.
8 when
Yeah, and
this
then
was coming
sometime
out.
over the course of my life, I was like, yo, I'm about
Spooky
this spooky stuff. It's on Nickelodeon. Again, I don't have Nickelodeon, but it looks interesting. It looks like a very fun for the kids. If the kids want to be scared, they can't watch it. Don't let them watch it. But yeah, like if the kids want to be scared, let them watch this. It looks nice. It has one of the kids from it, Ben.
Yes, it
Yes.
does.
He's great. But more importantly, it has Rafael Casal.
And we love Rafael Casal. We're huge
Yes.
Raf Casal fans.
As a collective, we are huge Rafael Casal fans. I was very disappointed because he didn't have any lines in the trailer, and he pops up a few times, just looking menacing and great in that top
He's
hat.
just
and all
standing there menacingly.
that. But
Thank you, Dallas.
no problem. SpongeBob.
SpongeBob.
Speaking of Nickelodeon, but yeah, I was just waiting for him to say something in like a creepy voice. He didn't, but our boy
Can
looks
you
good.
explain who that character is from?
Nope.
Okay, great.
Yeah, he's so there's a evil carnival, as Colin said. Carnivals are inherently evil,
It's true.
It's not
and
true.
he's basically like the ringmaster.
It's the ring.
Yo,
Master.
so what
Yes.
you're telling me is he could be spitting bars.
Yo!
As he should. Honestly, though, now like if I see the show and he doesn't rap, I'm gonna be very disappointed.
I just want like
So thanks a lot, Colin.
the boat scene from Blind Spotting, but like with trying to sell tickets or something.
Yo,
Oh my God, that's the
boat
best thing I've ever-
scene.
Just have him do
That's
spoken
amazing.
word. That'll count
I
too.
really want like miles from Blind Spotting trying to sell carnival tickets,
Tickets to these
because he can sell
children.
anything.
Or not
He
the boat
could.
scene, maybe, but like the salon scene would be more accurate.
Flatiron. Oh my God, I'm gonna go watch that movie again.
You just watched it like a week ago.
So,
It's Dallas's favorite movie.
didn't we go see
One of
that
them.
movie like 2 days in a row? No, I think that was Sorry to Bother You.
I know we saw them both twice during that summer. It
One
was a
of
great
them we
summer.
saw back to back,
It was
like
a great
one day, and
summer.
then went to see it again.
It
the
was
next
literally
day.
last summer.
It was a wild time. Shout out to Rafa. Shout out to all the kids. Shout out to Nickelodeon.
Yep.
Shout out to my childhood.
It's interesting because I hadn't watched the trailer until you showed it to me like
Right.
2
an hour
seconds
ago. Yeah, and it's interesting because the original was kind of like, come to the campfire, someone tells a story, we get through the episode, and then we leave.
Mm-hmm.
From the trailer, this looks like it's one story stretched out over however long the show is,
It is
I'm not-
serial
It's
instead
a
of
mi-
episodic.
It's a mini series. That's
Yeah.
why.
which is
It's also a
weird. Like, I guess that's cool, but I kind of feel like you lose some opportunity there by not telling a breadth of stories.
Yeah,
I
maybe.
feel like they should have done like a 12-episode season with a different story each episode.
Like
But
Goosebumps.
yeah.
You know, they were like, we got to reimagine it. What's the easiest way to reimagine it? Don't
Make
make
it
it
a
episodic.
miniseries.
Don't make it episodic.
Yeah. Well, and also we're living in a different time, right? Where like in the 90s, it made more sense for them to do it anthology, right? Because then you could tune in whenever and you didn't have to know the story beforehand, right? Because that would originally alienate an audience that wasn't
It's a good point.
Especially
necessarily
children.
able
Yeah, that's true.
to, yeah.
We weren't keeping up with when TV shows were on.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think, like probably Avatar was the first Nickelodeon show.
That like
to get
you were like,
serialized.
you need to like
Yeah.
watch everything before this.
It's probably part of the reason I didn't watch it, because by the time my cousin was like, "Oh, you should watch this show," I'm like, "Yo, I don't know who these characters are. You're on like chapter 7.
That's
I
true.
don't have time for this."
And like, but like that show also started coming out at the beginning of streaming when you could theoretically go online and catch up.
Yeah, I didn't do any of that.
Like, I
Too young
think
to do
young
that?
people were like,
playing
wait a
video games
minute,
online.
I could use the
Streaming.
internet to watch things.
I was on my
and
laptop.
so you started binging with like young people, not
Yeah.
older people, and then it just kind of got to everybody.
I mean, yeah, Avatar specifically, I watched the last 4 episodes, which they aired all together as like a special event movie thing.
It's basic, yeah. It was
and I
basically a
hadn't
movie.
seen any of the 3rd season at that point.
What?
And I just watched the ending because it was on and it was a thing. And then I went back and I found all the episodes and I watched them all and it was great. But like, well, the ending is happening and it's a big thing and I want to kind of see it because it sounds interesting and I like the show from what I saw. So sure, I don't need season 3.
I loved that show. But also,
Same.
I had found this like one channel that was basically rerunning all of it.
Mm-hmm.
So all I had to do was tune in and watch for hours. Like they would have like a 2-hour block of it. So I would just watch it.
Nice.
And my mom actually got into it 'cause she was like, what are you watching? And I was like, the greatest show that's ever existed. Sit down.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, guys, that's been a long, long time.
Yeah, we
Remember when we talked about the Hustlers?
Yeah, that was a while
A
ago.
day and a
I
half
do.
ago.
It was so long ago. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Yes. Thank you, loyal listeners. As always, shout out to Crown Digital. They put us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Shout out to you guys listening to us on that and YouTube. You know, whatever you got, wherever you're at, wherever we're at.
I want to mention really quickly, if you have been listening to our fan casts and you're like, I wonder what all these people look like.
Is that what our listeners sound like? Evan?
Yep, it is. That's our listeners' voices.
I don't know how I
Anyway,
feel about that.
you're like, I wonder what these people look like. If you watch our fan cast on YouTube, Demi has done this great thing where she will, as soon as we say who we've cast, she puts a picture of them up next to the character that we cast them as.
Yeah.
So if you're wondering what,
Yusuf Gatewood.
or O'Shea Jackson Jr. looks like, head to our YouTube channel and check out our podcast that way.
Otherwise, you can stay on Spotify, Apple, wherever you're at. You can find us on Twitter at y'all_different. You can find us on Facebook. Just search for Creative Differences. You can find us on Tumblr at Creative Differences Podcast. We don't update that one as much, but we're working on it. It looks really nice.
Thank you.
Yeah. Demi is dope. That's
She-
it. That's the
That's
podcast.
the tweet.
Demi is dope.
That's the tweet.
That's the podcast.
Yes. All right. Personally, you can find me at a king named Simba on Twitter.
You can find me on Twitter at Duck McGuck.
You can find me on Instagram at Stegosoria. Soria is spelled Soria.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Dreamy Films. Dreamy is spelled Dreemi. Thanks again, guys.
Yes. It's been different.
It's been hella different. Bye.
Bye.
It's Britney, bitch.